There are plenty of reasons to create an anomaly. Maybe, like the cultists of the Sarkic sects or the children of the Scarlet King, you want to please a dark master or summon horrific powers that most people couldn't imagine. Maybe, like the capitalists of Marshall Carter and Dark Limited or Dr. Wondertainment, it's for profit. Maybe, like the Fifthists, it's a strange and inscrutable reason that only makes sense to you. Or maybe you want to make an anomaly for the sheer artistic accomplishment of the art itself. And that is where today's truly unique group of interest, Are We Cool Yet?, comes in. As awareness of the anomalous grew throughout the world's various undergrounds, it only made sense that artists on the bleeding edge of conceptual development would want to sink their teeth into the powers of esoteric science and sorcery to create remarkable pieces. Paintings that can talk to you, sculptures that can move, video art that could change your brain chemistry on a fundamental level. But of course, anyone attempting to do something new is always going to receive pushback from people who just don't understand the intent. And I'm not just talking about the SCP Foundation here either. According to the anonymous writer of The Coolest War, Memories of a Critic, the true fracture that led to the modern anomalous art, or ANART movement, occurred in Paris in 1874. It was the art center of the world at the time, where the famed Salon des Magnifiques introduced a new rule that forbade any artwork of a phantasmagorical nature. This led to all the most prominent anartists at the time bonding together to create some kind of counterculture. It centered around their own exhibition that they called Sommes nous devenus magnifiques, which ran every 10 years. Popping up across the globe with even more insane supernatural artistic concepts. But it couldn't all be peaches and cream forever. After all, why even make an artistic movement if it wasn't going to messily fracture at a later date? According to the Coolest Wars writer, quote, "It was at the 6th decennial exhibition in 1924 that the growing rift between the two largest schools of thought, logical versus emotional, science versus faith, Old World versus New, came to a head. For it was at that show that for the first time, the works of the French surrealist Marcel Duchamp would be exhibited alongside those of Ruiz Marcos, the Mexican artist whose themes of magical realism and religious awe intertwined with the viscerally accessible Fortenia of our world had set art critics worldwide at war with each other. This war would go on, in fact, claiming several lives, thanks to the often dangerous nature of the artistic pieces themselves, until Ruiz and Duchamp seemed to bury the hatchet. The group of interest that embodies ANART today was born after a photo was discovered at an expo of Ruiz leaning over and whispering into Duchamp's ear. According to one reporter who was there at the time, he whispered the words, "Are we cool yet?" What makes Are We Cool Yet such a fascinating group, and one that the Foundation views as a real nuisance to keep the lid on, is the fact that there's no centralized command. There's no head of the snake to cut off, as it were. They're a series of disconnected, decentralized cells, with the only philosophy bonding their often extremely disparate members being that they believe in the importance of art above all else. And they are willing to use anomalous power to take the field of arts to new heights. In this era of AI nonsense and corporate slop, it's more important than ever to support genuine human-made art created with love and care. Do you know this channel is actually a very small handful of artists, a writer, an editor, and a voice artist? Hi, me. If you want to support all of us in the interest of art, then the best way you can do it is by subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell, so you never miss one of our bespoke SCP Explained videos. Much has changed about the ANART movement since its inception well over a century ago. The forerunners in the artistic space still converge on the iconic Sommes nous devenus magnifiques grand exhibition every 10 years to show off the very best of their work. And we know why you're here. You don't just want some dry history lesson. We've already tantalized you with the possibility of anomalous art. And we really wouldn't be fulfilling the promise of this particular premise if we didn't show you a fascinating little taster plate of what the ANART world is cooking up these days. ANART pieces often feature a degree of social commentary, Such is the case for Project Proposal 2019-319 Urban Cuddles. This is a pastiche on the inhumane urban design practice of anti-homeless architecture. Pieces of hostile shapes put into a public place to disencourage the unhoused from laying and sleeping there. The art in this proposal is a series of large multicolored anti-homeless spikes to be arranged in the middle of a public place. When they sense the presence of a large group of people, they will slither towards them like huge metal caterpillars, forcing them to reckon directly with that which they're all too keen to ignore because they believe it doesn't affect them. Then there's Project Proposal 2018-019 Security Theater, made to poke fun at the performative nature of the TSA and the role they allegedly play in keeping all of our airports safe, at the expense of our comfort and timeliness when we're using air travel. Another artist decided to take these busybodies down a peg with a piece of avant-garde performance art they would all be taking part in, a box containing an MP3 player and an audio mimetic hazard that would make them believe they were giving a theatrical performance, specifically that of a gaggle of circus clowns. Sometimes the most beautiful part of an artistic performance is the emergent quality, the things you didn't even plan for but happened and became a striking part of the piece anyway. In this case, it was one of the TSA agents picking up an improvised explosive device as though it was a custard pie and throwing it in the face of a fellow agent, causing a large explosion. Oh, and while we're on the subject of explosions, it would be a horrific oversight not to discuss Project Proposal 1964-238, The Eater of Worlds, an interactive sculpture piece interrogating the nature of war and the horrific global cost of the creation of nuclear weaponry. This piece involved a deconstructed nuclear fission bomb, as well as the brain tissue of Edward Teller, J. Robert Oppenheimer, Eugene Wigner, Leo Chadwick, Ernst Goldberg, and/or any living U.S. or Soviet head of state or national defense director, along with a transitorized positronic cognition matrix. The final result was a living ambulatory bomb, meant to be confined in a laboratory setting so that viewers of the piece could interrogate it about its existence. Originally, the artist wanted to make this art piece with 6.2 kilograms of actual weapons-grade plutonium. The submissions committee of the local AWCY chapter recommended replacing it with an equal amount of lead, citing safety concerns about the piece. Personally, we think that it's a rare example of artistic cowardice from these folks. Some of the pieces created in service of the AWCY movement are actively disturbing in their methods, but those are some of the ones we find most fascinating, like Project Proposal 1964-301, The Essence of Indolence, which promises to be a truly transformative piece for anyone experiencing it. Of course, because we're talking about art here, we mean this in its most punishingly literal sense. The piece is a large suede armchair with a television in front of it in a closed-off area. While it appears to be normal at a glance, if you touch the chair, you'd be able to see that it feels like living flesh. But if that doesn't stop you and you decide to overcome your discomfort to sit down on the piece and watch some of the television, at that point your fate as a whole part of this process has sadly been sealed. Over the next 32 hours, you'll find yourself slowly morph into a piece of living furniture too, from a sofa to a throw pillow. And in order to survive, you'll still need to be fed food and water, despite you no longer being in control of your own body. If you starve or dehydrate and die, rigor mortis will set in and you'll appear to be just a normal piece of furniture, unless someone cuts you open and sees what's inside. Sometimes the artists themselves will make the ultimate sacrifice of their existence on our shared physical plane in order to give everything to art. One of those artists was Leonard Little Milton, with his piece Project Proposal 2014-027, I'm a Bad Dream That I Just Had Today. In essence, the plan was to expose himself to a powerful meme that would induce him to fall into a permanent sleep. Before doing this, though, he would hook himself up to a specially modified EEG machine that would allow him to broadcast his dreams directly into the minds of anyone in his immediate vicinity. As a master of lucid dreaming, in theory, he would essentially be entering a world where he was omnipotent and could create any art piece with no limitations, which would then be broadcast straight into the mind of anyone passing by at the time. Milton included his intent for the piece, saying, "The world has gotten boring for me. It's not the fault of anything in particular, but it's just gone dull. Half of everything interesting has been locked up, another half killed, and a third half just isn't putting out entertainment like it used to." On a slight tangent, I have always believed the potential for art is limitless within the mind. However, the unfortunate nature of reality adds complications such as physics and society and decency, which keep the artist from realizing the true potential of their vision. While I understand how working under restriction can bring great works about, I believe I have exhausted what I can do in this reality. In the infinite freedom of a dream, however, thus this proposal. I find it a win for all parties, honestly. I get to live in the infinite possibility that a dream provides, and the public gets to engage with the most raw and pure creativity that the human brain can output. In addition, I'm making my research freely available for future artistic pursuits. I'm certainly not going to be using it. I'm confident that I will be taken care of over my time as an exhibit. I don't exactly plan on waking up, so feel free to display me for as long as you want. You may put a warning on the exhibit, though. I'm rather prone to nightmares. Hard to argue with that logic. One of the most famous anomalies that's very likely a creation of the misunderstood geniuses at AWCY is a little-known sculpture known as SCP-173. This neck-snapping magnum opus has scarred the psyche of a generation of Foundation employees and vandalized the vertebrae of more D-class cleaners than I really care to mention here. If you're somehow not familiar with this one, it's an avant-garde sculpture made out of concrete, rebar, and spray paint, and if you dare to stop beholding this beautiful piece for even the duration of a blink, it'll snap your neck like a graham cracker. The uncreative minds at the Foundation have dabbled with the idea of destroying this piece multiple times, but they've never managed to do the deed. Explosives, lasers, and high-tension automatic blades dashing it to pieces, it doesn't matter. It always heals itself. It shows that they clearly don't actually comprehend the artistic intent of the piece. An object made by hand needs to be destroyed by hand. If one of them had the guts to enter the containment chamber with a sledgehammer, they could smash it to pieces stroke by stroke, and it wouldn't do a thing to resist. You'd even find a little message that declares the intent of AWCY inside, and the sculpture would not rebuild itself, but who would ever be brave enough to try it? That's art right there. Oh, and of course there's a key element of art we haven't discussed yet: surprise. Not just any kind of mind can produce a paradigm-shifting masterpiece that will not only change the art world, but potentially shift the fabric of reality itself. If a tree falls in the woods and nobody is there to hear it, does it make a sound? No, of course not. It'll cause vibrations in the air, but those vibrations in the air only become sound when there's a person there to hear it, to give them the context of perception. In the same way that water is not a drink until someone drinks it, and an animal isn't food until something eats it. What I'm getting at here is art is a matter of two parts: viewer and participant. It only becomes art when someone looks, and in that way, is the participant not a part of the art? What's, say, a YouTube video without someone to click it and watch it while it plays? You're watching this, and you're becoming part of the art right now. You still think this is just another normal video, don't you? Oh, that's funny. We knew that making a video about us would be the best way to attract minds like yours. The ones who want to experience art. The ones who want to be closer to art. The ones who want to be part of art. Don't worry, we can help you there. We and the number of mimetic agents we've exposed to you over the course of this video. The transformation will set in later tonight. Oh, we can't wait to see what kind of piece you're going to become. I suppose only one question is left now. Are we cool yet? But why let this anomalous artistic showcase end here? How about instead of leaving back to the dull and humdrum of reality of everyday world, you instead check out SCP-4149, Gallery of the Bizart, and Killer Living Graffiti, SCP-1155, Predatory Street Art, for more.